Modern Warfare 3 Ranked Play finally got a major update after feeling like we were forgotten about for most of this year. We did get some new maps recently and I played those on my second channel, but it just wasn't a big enough update to keep me locked in. I hit Iridescent the first season, but once I hit Crimson last season, I kinda just took the season off after that. I hit Iridescent in Warzone, which was pretty fun as well, but after that there seemed like nothing to do, so I kinda just pub stomped people on Fortune's Keep and now on Rebirth Island. But with this new update, we received 5 new guns that are now unbanned in Ranked Play, and they are all very good in different ways. I spent a day yesterday testing them out in-game, and I figured out what the best classes are for each one, and I was pleasantly surprised to find out that each weapon had its own use. What I mean by that is there's certain maps that each weapon's going to play better on, or certain teams you're going to go against that you're going to want to use something else against. For example, one team you may want to use the HRM as your submachine gun, while another team the Ram9 might be a better option, and I'll go into detail in this video on why that would be. Now let's start by making things easy. We're going to categorize these as submachine guns, flex weapons, and assault rifles. As a lot of you may know, there's certain roles for professional players in the Call of Duty League. There's SMG players who usually just use whatever the main SMG is. Then there's a flex AR and a main AR. The main assault rifle user is usually going to hold lanes, sit back on a head glitch with a pre-aim up, and try to hold angles so that players can't run around the map doing whatever they want. Something that I wish some ranked teammates would do for me. Whereas the flex usually would have a separate weapon or a faster AR that you can still use from a long range to help out your main AR holding those angles. But for certain maps or certain teams you're playing against, you might want to get a little bit more active on the map and move around a bit more. That's where a flex assault rifle comes into play, but we haven't really seen one since Black Ops 4. That's because the pros decide to pretty much ban anything that's relatively good in the flex option because they claim it's always going to be too overpowered. And honestly, they're usually right, but I think in this game, things might be a little bit different. So now that we know what the categories are and what the roles are for these weapons, let's talk about the SMGs and if the rival is even worth using anymore. So for starters, of course, the Ram9 and HRM9 are the 2 new SMGs that were added into the weapon list, with the rival being the one that pretty much everyone has been using all year due to the fact that that's what the pros are using. Even though it has been nerfed since the beginning of the year and it has received multiple different updates, it's been the only gun people have really used all year, aside from sometimes the Striker or the Wasp Swarm. When comparing the TTKs with the rival, the HRM and the Ram, we can see that out to 10 meters the rival is second place behind the Ram9, with the HRM being very close. But then once you get beyond 10 meters, the rival 9's TTK drops off quite a bit. And although it has a better TTK technically than the HRM after about 20 meters, this doesn't matter much because you're using submachine guns to get up close and personal. You're not looking to take 20+ meter fights. Will they happen? Absolutely, but not very often, especially on the new maps like Rio and Vista. Things get even worse for the rival when you factor in sprint to fire. Looking at the TTK chart when factoring it in, the rival is now just tied with the Ram and the HRM is actually on top, all the way up until about 15 meters, and after that the Ram becomes the best one. This should already kind of paint a picture for when you would want to use the HRM versus the Ram, and it kind of tells you everything you need to know about the rival. Now, of course, if you want to copy what the pros are doing, then stick to the rival, but if you're trying to rank up and you want to use the best potential weapons for you, make sure you're paying attention to these charts. So what this chart's basically telling you is if you run into someone with the rival 9 and you have the HRM 9, and you guys are both sprinting to the middle of the map until you run into each other, the HRM's TTK is actually significantly faster than the rival's because of its handling speed, meaning you're going to finish sprinting and pull your weapon up and aim and shoot well before the rival is going to be able to. And while it's only a few milliseconds of a difference, in a game like Call of Duty, that's all it takes. So clearly we should just be using the HRM, and that's the end of that. Well, hold on now, let's not move so fast. Let's factor in one headshot into this TTK chart and let's see what it looks like now. The Ram9 absolutely wipes the floor with the competition when it comes to getting one headshot, so I would say a higher skilled player will do better with the Ram, while a lower skilled player would do better with the HRM. This is also factoring in sprint to fire speed with the headshot. So all in all, to make it very easy on you on what to select, obviously you can use either of these classes that I cooked up and see which one you like more, and that's of course what I recommend you do. But if your aim is really good and you're able to hit a headshot in most of your gunfights, pick that Ram9. I've also found that the Ram9 is a lot better from a distance, and I base that on the visual recoil mixed with the recoil pattern. So if you're up close and personal, the HRM is a great option. If you do a little bit of both, the Ram is even better. But either way, if you're able to hit some headshots, the Ram is the best SMG in the game currently. And where does the rival stack up, you may wonder? use it if you want to be like the pros, I guess. If you need a rival class, make sure you go check out one of my last videos that I made on it, but right now the HRM and Ram9 loadouts are on the screen. Make sure you give them a try. Now the HRM that's on the screen, I didn't put the Thorn barrel on that one because I didn't think it was worth it in game. What I found out was that the Thorn barrel on the HRM is what leads to the TTK charts and the handling speeds that you see right now. So make sure you add the Thorn barrel to your HRM if you're going to use it. You can try it without the barrel. That's what I did, and it was still really good, but it's definitely better with it, at least statistically. Next up, let's talk about the main assault rifle option that was added in the Holger 556, and this one should be short, quick, and easy because it's just simply better than the MCW. Now, the MCW still feels better to me when it comes to getting kills with it, just because I've been using it since the start of Modern Warfare 3. But the switch to the Holger was not hard because take a look at the TTK charts here. The first one here with no headshot, they're pretty close, but the Holger still beats the MCW and TTK at every single distance. But how about when we factor in a headshot? Look at just how much of a lead the Holger has on TTK. It's honestly not a competition, and you would think since the Holger is so much stronger that its recoil pattern is going to be a lot more difficult to control or just a little bit jumpier. You'd be surprised to find out looking at this chart, the orange dots are the MCW and the red dots are the Holger. They have basically the same recoil pattern, but the MCW's recoil actually goes up higher, so it's technically harder to control. The Holger's recoil bounces around left and right just a little bit more, but it's almost not noticeable at all. Now, of course, the Holger has a slower handling speed, it has a slower pull-up speed, all sorts of things when it comes to handling that make the Holger a bit slower, but that's it, just a bit slower than the MCW. And if you're using the MCW to have some speed around the map, I got some news for you. There's better submachine guns that we just talked about, and right after I talk about this Holger, you're gonna find out that there's better flex options than the MCW. So there's realistically no reason to use the MCW aside from comfort, which is totally understandable. It has that in common with the rival. But looking at this build I have on the screen here for the Holger 556, make sure you give this a try on a map like High Rise where you can watch B Street, or you can go on Top Propane and watch the important angles of the map, try to put them in the spawn trap. A map like Karachi going top third, you're going to be in absolute control of the map because this thing puts people to sleep so quickly. It's going to be hard for them to react as long as you hit your shots. And as usual with a build like this, make sure you change out the optic for whatever you like to use. I prefer the MK3 reflector. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect the recoil or anything like that. That's all personal preference, so make sure you change that if you like something else. You guys could see the clips on the screen. I mean, my aim wasn't particularly great with it on this day, but it still was deleting people with ease. Now for my favorite additions to the weapon pool in Modern Warfare 3 ranked play, the flex options, the MTZ 556 and the BP50, which both are incredible. These are the ones I had the most fun using. I think the Ram9 was what I played best with, but for some reason just the MTZ clips that you're going to see and the BP50 clips, it felt like I was just more impactful in these games. As you guys know, I solo queue every game I play, so sometimes I have to be the guy doing everything if we have any chance at winning. I have to get kills, I also have to get spawns, I also have to get on the hill or get on the control point or whatever the case may be, or plant the bombs. These flex options make that very, very easy to do because I don't have to worry about running into a rival with my MCW out and getting completely deleted. But which one's better and in which situation should you use the MTZ versus the BP50? Let's start with the TTK charts as usual, and as you can see, the MTZ being the red line, the BP50 being the orange line. The BP50 seems to be better up until about 16 meters, and then the MTZ takes over with a very, very consistent TTK. As you guys can see, that line doesn't move much from 0 meters out to about 45 for the MTZ, while the BP50 has a massive drop off at 60 meters as well at 40 meters. So that's pretty simple. If you're extra aggressive, the BP50 is a better option, but if not, then the MTZ is pretty good. Now, when we factor in sprint to fire though, things get a little bit murkier between the two because the BP50 now has a better TTK up until 40 meters, but don't let it fool you. The only reason I pulled this up is so that you know that the BP50 again has just better attributes for being an aggressive weapon, while the MTZ can still compete with it. The reason I say that is because sprint to fire is not going to affect a gunfight from 20 plus meters usually. Now, it definitely can, and again, that's when you're going to want to use the BP50 if you're running around often with your gun up and tag sprint. But if you want to have that mobility while also being able to lock down certain angles, then the MTZ is better from a distance. So think about yourself playing. Do you run around a lot or do you usually post up? Take a look at the recoil patterns though. It also gets a little bit better for the MTZ as it has a great recoil pattern, one of the most compact recoil patterns that you're going to find, while the BP50 on the other hand is pretty much run-of-the-mill, very easy to control, but it is still much worse than the MTZs. Now, the BP50 completely wipes the floor with the MTZ as far as sprint to fire, movement speed, and ADS movement speed, meaning your strafe speed while you're aiming down sights. These are the charts right here that you can see on the screen, and yeah, it's pretty clear which weapon excels up close. For a running gun type of player, make sure you use the BP50. You see the clips on the screen do it some justice, but you might be able to do better than me with it. And as I was editing this yesterday, I took a quick break, I hopped on the game again, played a couple ranked games using the BP50, and I was going absolutely nuts. Now, if we take a gunfight against each other from 20 meters out, or we're both aim down sights, if you have the MTZ, you're gonna beat my BP50, assuming that you just control your recoil and hit your shots. However, if we run into each other within 10 to 40 meters either way, and we both have our gun up in tactical sprint, if I have the BP50 and you have the MTZ, I'm going to kill you, assuming I hit my shots. Honestly, in my opinion, the BP50 is a little too overpowered to be in the hands of a flex player like Draza on FaZe, but the MTZ I think should be allowed in the league. I don't think it's overpowered at all. I do think it's the best of both worlds, but it's not gonna outgun a Rival 9 or a Ram 9 up close, while the BP50 on the other hand, you have a really good chance with these handling speeds and this TTK of beating SMGs up close. But if you're running an MCW or a Holger and you're trying to move around the map a lot, you're not gonna have as much success without having something like the MTZ or the BP50. So these classes right here are the ones that I was using. Again, feel free to change whatever you like. These are just what I used and I think they were great. And I really would love to see some flex options added into the CDL. It would just make it more fun for us to watch, but if not, hopefully they at least keep them in ranked because I'm really enjoying them. Maybe nerf the BP50 just a little bit, but give these loadouts a try. Comment down below if you think my loadouts were horrible and let me know what you've been using so I can give them a try for a future video. Also, if you made it this far and you do want to support the channel, all I ask is you go down below, click the share button, and then click copy link. You don't have to send it to anyone or anything. It still helps my channel regardless. If you do that, comment down below the word shared, or if you were already commenting, add the word shared into the comment and I'll make sure to shout you out in the next video. Now that I have a new PC, I will be streaming soon. Links are in the description to where I'll be streaming. I think here, Twitch, Kick, TikTok, all of them. So whichever platform you prefer, make sure you follow me there. I'll also be consistently posting YouTube videos again, which I'm very excited. This is something I've been waiting for like a year now, it feels like. I hate posting once a week or once a month, but my PC was not allowing me to edit, so now I can, and I'm excited. I'm hoping to entertain you guys for years to come, but with that being said, my name is Redix. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.